Last week you had a Tuesday. So time in that sense is, you can actually perceive that it's cyclic. Even more practical example or understanding would be the movements of the sun and the moon. The eclipse, when the moon actually, the phase of waxing and the waning of the moon. So again you see the moon wanes. It's not that once the moon wanes, the moon disappears. It is not like once the sun rises and it sets, it doesn't rise again. It rises again. Alright? So just like that, the seasons. So in the Vedic conception of time, a point of reference is given to this personality who's called Lord Brahma. Lord Brahma is known in Vedic Sastras as to be the engineer of the material world. He is not God. He is an empowered personality as an engineer of the material world. He is known as the secondary creator. So because he has created this material world, again the Vedic scriptures clearly say that he is not God. He is merely the empowered personality to create just this material world. Okay, because the topic is on 2012, time is limited. There's actually a spiritual world and a material world. And material world is, like our friend said earlier, it's nothing but a speck. Okay, so the material world is thus engineered by Brahma, and therefore the time of existence of this material world, how long it stays manifest, how long it is in existence, when it will end, when it is created, is based on the time or the lifetime of Brahma himself. So scriptures have actually given these calculations, and we can see this in the next slide. So here the technical bit comes in. So the Vedic Sastras have actually given that cycles in the timeline are divided into 4. Let's first look at the bottommost. So these are the 4 cycles. They are known as Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, and the current present age which we are in called Kali Yuga. And the corresponding years that these yugas last are also given. So Satya Yuga was known as the golden age, where lifespan was very long, people were very noble and religious. Thereafter the age progressed into Treta Yuga, which was known as the silver age, where a little contamination comes in, and thereafter it went into Dwapara Yuga, which was called also the bronze age. A little more contaminated, life became a little short, people became less intelligent, less religious, and now we are in the age of Kali Yuga, the current, final, most degraded, unfortunate age. But seems quite good, ain't it? Anyways, so at the end of these 4 cycles are called a Divya Yuga. So 71 of these 4 cycles constitutes to what is known as one Manvantara. One Manvantara is a period of a person named Manu, from which the word Manushya comes from. Manusya. Manu is like the leader of mankind. So that constitutes just one period of Manu. And there are 14 Manus. And these 14 Manus then constitutes to one daytime of Brahma. And he has that many equivalent nights. And all of this, that is 1,000 cycles of this Divya Yuga, constitutes to only one daytime of Brahma, which is equivalent to 311 trillion of our years. And Brahma lives for 100 of his years. So we are looking at only one day. So every day of Brahma, at the end of the day of Brahma, day means daytime, at the end of daytime of Brahma, there is what is known as a full or complete dissolution, wherein all material nature or all the material creation, the whole planetary system, the whole solar systems of just the material world is thus absorbed or thus dissolved. And thereafter, when the next day of Brahma begins, he again creates. This is in, this is in line with Einstein's conservation of energy principle. Okay, engineers, sorry. Again with Einstein's conservation of energy principle. So the nature is the energy itself, but we are individual souls. We have nothing to do with this nature. We are just here existing. The nature is going on. Like I said, we have that independence. to be in this world or to come out of this world. So we are speaking on 2012, the timeline, so that is the nature of this material world. Now, Kali Yuga, let's focus on the current age that we're in, the age of Kali. Yuga means age. The age of Kali lasts for 432,000 years. That is 432,000 years of degradation. And currently we are in about just over 5,100 plus years. So there's still a long way to go. And at the end of this cycle, Satya Yuga was the most noble, prominent age. It degraded into Tretra Yuga, then it degraded again into Dwapara Yuga. Now it's degrading into Kali Yuga. At the end of Kali, there is something known as partial dissolution. Partial dissolution is not complete where all the material nature is absorbed. It is just somewhat, some areas will be destructed, some areas will be dissolved. That's it. It can be identified with what is known as like the end of world or Armageddon, something like that. But the material nature in itself, the other planetary systems, the whole solar system, that remains to be existent. Maybe some parts of the earth, yes, maybe something like flooding. Generally in the Shastras they say like the world is inundated, it is flood. So that is there. But that is simply merely a partial dissolution. Because Kali Yuga is like winter. During winter we see everything is cold, dry and dead. Thereafter, it only gives way when the sun comes in to bring back life again. And that is just a natural order of cycle. So similarly, after the age of Kali, when everything is degraded and thus partial dissolution takes place, it just merely gives way for Satya Yuga, again the noble age, to again come about. So it's a long process. If you were to conclude here whether 2012 has any significance, like I mentioned before, not really, because we've got a long way to go. And Vedic scriptures, if any one of you wishes to ask, have actually mentioned. So now we know at the end of 432,000 years it's going to end. A clear, definite date is given. The Vedic scriptures are quite clear actually. They are not. Nothing is given vague. All information is quite given clearly because it's a multitude of knowledge. It's a multitude of it's an ocean of knowledge actually, the Vedas. So they are also given the characteristics of the people in the age of Kali. The characteristics of the people in this age, how they'll be, how they'll act, how they're thinking and such. So we'll not go into that. I have, if later if anyone would like to ask, that's quite interesting. You can actually see if it's true or not, because these things are coined or these things were actually compiled more than 5,000 years ago. Now moving on, this is nice. So if actually the question comes to topic today, in 2012, is the world going to end? Is anything going to happen in 2012? What do the Vedas have to say? Why am I sitting here being told that I'll have to wait till 11 PM at night? Is it meaningful if the world is going to end? Well, according to the Vedic scriptures, no. But if you ask, will there anything, maybe something bad will happen? Probably. Because it happens all the time. In the age of Kali, Shastras has mentioned, Padam Padam Yat Vipadam. That means, at every step, at every pada, at every step is danger. And if you look through past records, for example, in 2001, World Trade Center, that became a big thing for the year. Next, in 2004, tsunami, that became a big thing. Last year, earthquake and tsunami, both 2 in 1, Japan. Isn't it? And this year? Anything can happen. That is the message. Anything can happen. Because this is the degrading age of Kali. Now, understanding this, we should thus realize 2012, yes, there is suffering in life, but it's simply meant to give us some realization on God's message. The eternity of this world, it will continue. But we as jivas, as atmas, as living entities, as spirit souls, we do not belong, we are not part of this world. And we have an option of coming out. So I will conclude with this one verse from scriptures where it's mentioned, Kalir dosha nide rajan, that in this age of Kali, the amount of dosha, the amount of sins, the amount of bad things, like Malay, dosa, the amount of dosha, it's like an ocean. In the age of Kali, O king, it's an ocean of faults. But there is one good thing. There is only one good thing about this age of Kali, because even religious-wise, people are degrading. It's difficult for anyone actually properly to follow any religious principles. But again, everyone would agree that the Lord is merciful. And He has given this simple process that